All right, hi Lena, hi Jermaine. Looks like you guys are the first two to hop in. Got another couple coming in now.
Hey Domenico, hey Ashu, how's it going?
Hi Lena, doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well, thanks for asking.
Hey Macarond and Renette, good to have you guys here.
Hi guys, I'm Makarand here.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Just
How are you
gonna,
all doing?
very good. Just gonna let the waiting room fill up for a few more minutes before we jump into it. Make sure everyone's here.
Hi Lena, how are you doing? Might be very busy these days.
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, but busy's good. Busy's good during these times.
Yeah, this is what you are looking for, isn't it? After the release of mainnet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just waiting for Renette to join, then we can jump right into it. All right. I think we can probably jump into it, Ashu. More folks will join as it goes on. And just like the webinar on Tuesday, this is going to be recorded and will go up on both our DragonGlass YouTube page as well as on the Be My App website so that everyone can give it a look after we're done. All right, so with that, I think we can dive right into it and get started. So the way that this is going to play out is pretty similar to the format of our previous session on the APIs, where I'm just kind of going to give you a brief introduction to the DragonGlass platform, how real-time subscription plays into it, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Ashu to go into some more detail onto the technical components of real-time subscription, how to start bringing them into your projects, and at the end, we're just going to wind down with a bit of FAQ and Q&A. So we can get started now. Ashu, if you want to go to the next slide. All right, so just brief recap. I'm sure most of you guys already know this, but DragonGlass, we created to be a cloud-based service that provides Google-led search, Explorer functionality, provides developer APIs to allow people to access live and historical data and events on Hedera Hashgraph. And what we'll be covering today, we provide subscriptions to real-time events as they happen within the ledger. So yeah, DragonGlass serves data backup in 3 primary ways: through the Explorer, through the APIs that provide historical access, and through the subscription to real-time events. So if you want to go to the next one, Ashu. And then with the brief introduction out of the way, I'm going to turn things over to my colleague Ashu, and we'll get right into it.
Thanks. Hi folks, welcome to the webinar and thanks for joining. So as similar to API, I will go through all the
You're really faint, Ashu.
Okay. Let me stop my video then in that case. That helps.
Cool.
Can you hear me fine now?
Yeah, a little better.
All right, cool. So similar to the API structure for this webinar also, we are going to first go through over why should I use real-time subscription when I already have an API. So the reason why I would use real-time subscription is the high availability. Again, similar to API, we have enough redundancy in place for subscription service. So if one service goes down, we have a failback server who would definitely send you the event as it happens. No headache of running and managing your own mirror node, as I spoke previously for RESTful APIs. So we already have created a robust pipeline to support higher volumes, and we have tested on mainnet for the volume of 10,000 plus transactions. We have a complete transaction traceability right from the record stream file, which we receive from Hedera. From security perspective, we use authenticated queues, so you can have your own AWS IAM user credential and pass those on, and set up your queue for yourself, so nobody else can access the queue for you from you. So we have that kind of structure in place. Apart from that, DragonGlass run its own consensus across 2/3 Hedera nodes on the.
Your mic's a little choppy there, Ashu.
All right, is it better?
A little bit.
Every time it happens on this screen, I don't know why.
Very weird.
So up till what time was I okay on the consensus? Did I cover that? Fine.
I'd say maybe just back to security, just to be safe.
All right. So from security perspective, DragonGlass queues can be use your own AWS IAM user credentials, so that only you are accessing the queue for any events that is happening on the Hedera network. So we have that functionality in place. Apart from that, the pipeline itself runs its own consensus across 2/3 of Hedera nodes to ensure correctness of transaction. Just to be clear, this consensus is done for the record stream file and not for the transactions. As every Hedera node signs a record stream file and pushes onto the bucket S3 bucket, and we read from that bucket and do our own consensus on the record stream file so that any malicious or a faulty node cannot send any file which is not correct. Rich set of subscription features. So we have multiple features through which is very useful from a DApp developer perspective. So one of the features is if you emit an event from a smart contract call, you will get a notification immediately using the real-time subscription service. This is one of the features. Second thing is, for consensus service, if a message is sent on a topic, you will get that message immediately, just like any message queue. This real-time subscription will act as a message queue for you, and you can basically read from the message queue. And finally, you can get notification of any change for an account or a contract. This way, you will get the whole transaction record if you set up your subscription that way. Any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, then I'll go to the documentation directly. Not sure what's going on here. Yeah, here we go. So this is the subscription documentation, which can be available on app.dragonglass.me. So you get
Shu, you're garbled. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Am I better now?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. So to reach to the documentation, what you will do is you will go to app.dragonglass.me.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, Ashu, but your mic is
Let me reconnect again.
tech noises.
Let me reconnect again.
Ashu's just rejoining the call now, so just hang tight for a moment.
How do I sound now?
Much better.
Much better.
Yeah, that's better, Ashu.
Yeah, let me share my screen once again. You guys can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it, Ashu.
All right. So to continuing from where I left, to go to the real-time subscription documentation, what you would do is you will go to app.dragonglass.me. This is the homepage for app.dragonglass.me. On this page, go to DevTools, real-time subscription. This will take you to the documentation, real-time subscription documentation. All right. So how does real-time real-time subscription work? So what we do in DragonGlass is whenever you subscribe yourself, when you create a user subscription, it will create an SQS queue for you. And how you will do it is, the first thing you have to do for that is you have to sign in onto dragonglass.me. Once you sign in, you will go to your My Profile page, and under My Profile page, you'll see I add a subscription button. Right? When you click on add a subscription button, it will ask you for subscription model, subscription type, and AWS user earn in case you have one. In case you don't have one, it will create for you a public queue, which can be accessed through any AWS user. Subscription model, we only have one option here right now, which is free subscription. Subscription type, you can, under subscription type, you can subscribe to a transaction, you can subscribe to an event, and you can subscribe to an HCS topic. And if you provide your AWS user earn, that means only that user would be allowed to access this queue. You can add multiple users as well. So from authentication perspective, what you will do is, so this documentation lists various SDKs. These are like a list of 5 SDK, from languages perspective, 5 SDKs, which are listed under this documentation, but it is not limited to this. So if you go to AWS, there are more SDKs available for different languages. But these are the top 5 languages which are currently being used: Go, Java, Python, PHP, JavaScript. And when you create a consumer, so what you'll have to do is you'll have to write your consumer to be able to consume from DragonGlass Queue to get the messages. Where will you get the queue information? Your queue information will be again in your My Profile page. Under My Profile page, you can see under the My Subscription section, you can see there is a queue associated with a particular subscription. You can also click on the update button, and here you will see the queue name and the queue URL both there, which you can copy from there. And using all these SDKs, using any of your SDK, like any of the SDK I've mentioned here, Go, Java, Python, PHP, JavaScript, whatever, you can connect to the queue directly. The documentation for writing your consumer is available under this section. So what do we support? As I mentioned, we support transactions, we support events, and we support HCS messages. So when you get a transaction object, this is what the structure of the transaction object look like. This is actually your raw transaction, which we get from record stream. You will get this as is. All the required, including your receipt as well as your record. Event, for event specifically, if you're emitting an event, you will get data related to event, like what was the function call that was made, what was the event that was emitted, and what were the parameters of the event. You can get all these details from the event data. This is specifically for smart contract. And finally, for HCS messages, you will get what was the message sent and what was the topic sequence number, topic running hash, and what was that message sent. Just be aware the message that you will receive will be in hex format. So you might will have to convert it into text format, UTF-8 or whatever format you want to use it. Any questions till now? All right, questions. So first I'll go to the transactions. Before I start going deeper into like how to set up your transaction filters, just be sure, like just creating a user subscription would not make you, so you would not start receiving messages immediately after you created a user subscription. You'll have to add a filter to it, because filter decides what are the messages that you will get. If there are no filters, you won't get any messages at all. And the filters are different for different data types. So this is for data type transaction. So the kind of filters you can apply for transaction is, you can specify what are the transaction types I'm interested in. This will be under create subscription, under create subscription section. And then when you go to my subscription, you can add filters. You can click on the filter button here, and you will get an option to create a filter on a payer account, sender account, receiver account, and a contract. So payer account is somebody who paid for a transaction. Sender account is who sent some H bar to another account. The account that transferred some money to a different account. Receiver account would be for the transaction where this account received transfers. And you can add payer account, you can add the values here, and the filter would be created accordingly. Next, for the events. So in the smart contracts, when you emit a smart contract event and you want to know like what event was emitted out of a smart contract call, like whether there was a transfer that happened, you want to know that. So how would you know that is? Similar to transaction, you will first create a subscription. After creating a subscription, the extra step that you will do here is you will upload an ABI file for your smart contract, so that we are aware what are the different events you have defined under your ABI. After uploading your ABI file, you will add a filter. The filters that we currently support are function names. So you can supply the contract ID and the function name. In this case, for example, I'm using transfer event. I want to know whenever the transfer event is emitted, I want to know the details. So this filter is now created. You see this? And now you would be able to receive anytime an event occurs in a contract call for contract ID 0.0.12345, you will receive an event in your queue for your consumption. Finally, this topic. So HCS topic, just like we extended the way HCS is used currently. So what we did is we added another feature. Now, anytime a message comes for a given HCS topic, it will be available on the SQS queue for you to consume. How you will do it is, how you will set up your HCS topic message listener is by creating a subscription of type HCS topic, adding a filter. In the filter, you will add the topic ID. Once this is done, you are ready to consume the messages. One more thing that I want to specify here is any of these data types, when you subscribe to them, it takes 2 hours for it to kick in. So once you create a user subscription, add the filters, it will take from immediate to 2 hours for you to start receiving the messages. So if you don't receive a message for next 2 hours, don't be alarmed. This is because we refresh our cache in, every 2 hours, and that's how we send messages across. All right, this covers the whole documentation. If you have any questions around the documentation, you can ask. All right, cool. Let me now go to so in case you have, I mean, right now, in case you don't have any questions, but you have some questions at a later point of time, we have created an FAQ page. You can go to this FAQ page and look at frequently asked questions from regarding the subscription service. I mean, it also has questions related to Explorer as well as the RESTful API. Like commonly asked questions are, I created a DragonGlass subscription, but I'm not receiving messages on the SQS Queue. Please ensure that you have set a valid filter on subscription, and it takes a maximum of 2 hours for any new subscription or addition of a filter to a subscription to take effect. Are there any JS example code to get up and running with real-time data subscription? So we have the documentation for from AWS for JavaScript. Another question that I frequently get is I have subscribed to an event on a smart contract call, but I'm not receiving them. Most of the time, what happens is, although you're subscribing to an event, you have provided all the filters correctly, but you have not provided the ABI file. So specifically for event, ABI file is critical for you to upload. All right. So this is it from me. Thank you, Tomiko.
Of course. Now, before we kind of start winding things down, were there any questions from any of the viewers? Now would be the time if you want to get them out there.
Hi, I'm Makarand here. I just want to ask about the transaction type. So you're covering all the transaction type there already, so that I can select it through the drop-down menu. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Anyone else have anything they wanted answered? Now would be the time.
If we have any additional questions, how do we contact you afterwards?
Very good question. So I can actually put there are a few ways. I'll put my direct email into the chat. I'm really always online. I'm able to connect y'all with really anyone from the team. In addition, there's a contact page on the DragonGlass website that you can use to submit questions directly, and you can also hop on over to the DragonGlass Discord or Telegram channels and ask questions there, and someone from the team will get back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I have some question about security. So is it providing some additional layer on top of existing thing, or is it something to differentiate the users at the SQS Queue, which is there with the DragonGlass?
So from
the other way I want to ask the question is like this. Okay, how do you take care? Because I can see, I think you have created your infrastructure where you have queues and all those things where we will subscribe and provide the information, what kind of information we are looking for. So it might happen, say you might collect the information from many users and make a one call to SCS and get the want to say, data from there and then share it with the others. Is there anything like that? Means how do you take care of keeping separate users and their security in your platform?
Yeah, so every user subscription is associated with a queue. So the queue that you are subscribed to, nobody else knows about that queue, first of all. It's only for you. It's a user specific queue that we create. And secondly, again, if you don't provide a AWS user, then what we do is we create a public queue. So anybody having a valid AWS user can access from that queue. But in case you provide your AWS user, in that case, what happens is nobody else apart from that user would be able to access that queue.
And then what about in the second case then, the public queue?
The public queue, anybody who has first of all, they won't even know that queue exists. Because the users who create the queue, the queue is only visible to them on the Explorer. But say, for example, somehow they came to know that you have a user queue and I can listen to it. If it's a public queue, yes, they can listen to that queue.
So in that case, then you cannot keep, what to say, data secure for each user. No, so all data will be available on that queue.
No, to secure that, to secure you will have to provide a user which would be able to listen to that queue yourself, right? So you will have to provide us a user. Okay, or you can also provide multiple users. And once you say, okay, only these users should be able to listen to this queue, then it will act it.
Okay.
It will immediately start.
Yeah. Then in which case you recommend to use that public queue?
I mean, I don't recommend it. It's just that I've seen a couple of folks who don't have an AWS account, although it's free. It comes under free tier, like creating a user. You can anytime create a free tier account and create a IAM user for yourself. And AWS permits that. But in case you don't want to get into that hassle, and so what I have done is in the past is the pub queue is public, but I've given them a user from our side so that they can connect to the queue.
Okay, I tell you what I'm looking for is I'm developing some application here in the hackathon, and where I do want to provide the client side, want to say, the facility that they can they can get the information, and for that we are utilizing the DragonGlass API. Now in that case, then I'm not getting if that client, whoever is using our application, how they should how we should ask them to have that AWS account or so. Yeah. Maybe we can have that for our server side. Okay. The another thing we are looking is then in that way, say, route it everything through the server. So server will use the DragonGlass API and pull in the information and then pass it on to the client. But in that case, that can be maybe very big traffic if you consider a real application.
So you
that's
want,
why I was considering
different users to be able.
Yeah, sorry. So that's what I was considering, these two different approaches, which you said about public queue and the other queue. So I was thinking then if you can use that, if there is no, how to say, data where I need a very tight security or so.
Yeah, so you can add more than one user to listen to a queue. So if you have, for example, you have 10 clients who want to directly consume messages from the queue, same queue, right? So you can create different user for different client.
Okay, so then, but then the API, the call should have been initiated by someone, isn't it? So they can listen, that is fine, but then I initiate that through the server and then allow them to just listen there.
What do you mean initiated? Because The SQS queue is going to be populated by DragonGlass. You don't have to push anything to the queue. The data is going to be pushed through DragonGlass. You are just listening to the queue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and in the beginning only we are creating what I want to the data from DragonGlass.
So you're mentioning API in the middle. So this is different from API. API is more like you are polling, you are requesting for a.
Okay, yeah, got that. Yeah, so I think I confuse
So
a bit between the live service and the API one. Yeah,
yeah, this is like a push message.
Yeah, I got that point. Yeah, that's clear. Thank you. Great.
Any other question?
There is something in the chat.
Yeah, it looks like Solomon Wu posted in the chat. Does the queue guarantee the order of message? And does the queue guarantee a message is only delivered once and no duplicate will be delivered?
So first I'll answer the easy one, duplication. Yes, it guarantees non-duplicate. It guarantees that the message will only be sent once and it won't be duplicated. Now regarding the ordering, the messaging queue itself doesn't guarantee the order, but the message that you receive has a sequence number in it. So probably the ordering will have to be maintained by the receiving application, the consumer application. Did I answer the question?
In that case, a listener has to take care of identifying the proper ordering. So
ordering, like when you receive the message, it can happen like, for example, you send 4 messages, 1, 2, with sequence number 1, 2, 3, 4. You will get all the 4 messages, but the ordering is not guaranteed in SQS. So what happens is you can receive 1, 3, 4, and 2, but you will get all the 4 messages, and you will also get the sequence number along with the messages.
Okay. Yeah.
But how you receive it, that is not guaranteed. Like it will maintain the order.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Can we check with Solomon if this answers his question?
Yeah, no, Solomon, he posted in the chat. You answered it succinctly.
Okay.
All right, cool. So unless there are any other remaining questions, I think that will just about do it for today. Really want to thank you all for coming again, taking time out of your day to learn a little bit more about DragonGlass. And just as before, the replay of this is going to be uploaded to the Be My App website as well as the DragonGlass YouTube channel so that everyone can view it after it's complete. Thanks again, everyone, for coming by. And you have a nice rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, guys.
Great seeing
Thank you,
all of you.
guys.
Our pleasure.